Okay, let's do some spline animations. Let's first remove the default cube and lamp. And the camera, you can select and hit Alt R to remove any rotational data. And then we can enter orthographic view and take the camera and just place it in the center. It doesn't have to be in the center, but let's just put it there. Okay, so I'm going to help my friend Dan to do some spline animations on a whiteboard, but you can do this on anything that you want. So first, hit N on the keyboard if you don't have this view up already. And we're going to add a background image. So let's locate our images. I think we're gonna use frame 2 first. Yes. You want to use the most complex shape first of your the thing that you're going to animate, because obviously the less complex shape is going to use less vertices in the shape. So let's go ahead and create this. Let's focus on this thing here, the penis with the bleeding thing. So let's add a curve. I think we're going to use a Bezier curve for this. You could probably use NURMS too, or a path, but let's just use a Bezier. So this is quite big, and let's tab to enter edit mode and just scale this motherfucker down. Okay. So now we just recreate this shape by moving and rotating these and also scaling these tangents. And since this is going to be applied on top of a video, we do not have to worry about the other dimensions. 2D is what we will focus on this time. And you can be as detailed about this as you want. I'm not gonna be overly detailed for this tutorial, but let's make a decent attempt at recreating this penis here. These things can be quite distracting too, if you have noticed that. It looks pretty good. So this is the process. It's not really the most exciting, but it's all for a good cause, so let's just keep going. And I think we just about have it. So yeah, just edit the tangents. Sorry, my nose is a bit stuffed. We just got our first snow here in good old Sweden. Oh, wrong key. Okay, yeah, this looks about right. You could spend more time on this. This just took a few minutes. So let's give this some depth so that we have something to render. And you don't have to worry about the shape, because we're not going to, like I said, do a 3D render. This is just going to be pure black. So you don't have to give it, you know, a bunch of fancy details and make it completely smooth, because this is just going to be completely black. So let's go ahead and give this a material. And let's call this spline. So let's make the diffuse black and the specular nothing, just nothing. And this is not really thick enough, is it? This is probably more in line with what we will see. Okay, let's give this a test render, so let's go ahead and add ourselves a light. Or we could probably do this with the environmental lights. Yeah, okay, F12 to render your thing. So this is looking quite good. So now we're going to animate this thingamagoo. And to do that, we want to give ourselves a shape key. So hit this pasta icon and add a shape key. So this is the basis, and that's what we want to have. So let's give ourselves another key and give this the full extent of our wrath. And now you can move stuff around and you can animate between two shapes. So with the first key in place and with the value set to full, let's go ahead and change the picture into our second shape, or what's really our first shape, and enter edit mode. And now let's just drag this down, and now we want to reshape our spline here to match this new shape. And this is why you wanted to use the complex shape first, because this box would be way harder to turn into the bleeding penis than the bleeding penis is to turn into this. Okay, but we're making good progress here. And if you scale this down, you're going to get a much cleaner edge for this piece right here. And scale it down to give us a hard edge and place it on top of the edge. Rotate these motherfuckers. Rotate this motherfucker. Until we have our shape. And this is good enough for the tutorial. So now you see we can animate between these two shapes. Let's see what we got here. So we're going to turn from this shape into the second shape. So for compositing's sake, let's give ourselves a full second with this first shape. So what you do is you place your marker at 24 frames if you are animating this in 24 frames per second, and you hover the mouse above the key value for this key, and you hit I. Now we have a keyframe here. So now let's decide how long our animation should be. And let's just say that it's going to be another 24 frames. And now you drag this value to 0 to enter our original shape. And you hit another I key. And then you place your marker sometime after that, and you hit E to limit the what you will render. So let's go ahead and look at this animation. So that is looking quite good, or quite acceptable, I would say. Let's give this another render, and I think maybe we should actually give this some more thickness. Yeah. Okay, now we're satisfied. We get a render from the material, and we lit the scene with the environmental lighting, and if you have other colors and they're turning out too dark, just change the environmental lighting value. So let's go to render, and under shading, where it says alpha, we want transparent instead of sky. So now when we render, we get a transparent background. Okay, so let's go into the editing tab, turn on full high definition for the render, and select our output. Mine is in Spline tutorial. Let's give ourselves a new folder. Let's call this render sequence. And let's call it Spline. So, we do not want to render this as a video. A video has no transparency. Sorry. What we want to do is render an image sequence, something with an alpha channel. So a PNG would be fine as long as you turn on the RGBA, but I like Targa myself. I think that's an excellent format. So turn on the alpha channel. And now everything is set. So now we hit the render animation key, and this thing will render for us. And as you can see, this is going quite quick, so I'm not going to cut. You're just gonna have to bear with me here. So yeah, you can make how many splines you want. You can animate whatever you want. It's just gonna take more time. I just settled for this one shape for the sake of the speed of the tutorial. So this is just about rendered. And yeah, you do not have to give yourself 24 frames to start with when you are rendering image sequences. I'm just so used to rendering video files. You could just render one frame that you lengthen within your video editor. Okay, so this is now rendered. So let's move into video editing and sort of make something out of this. So let's kind of yeah, there we go. So instead of adding his video files, I'm just going to use still images. Let's make this half the length, and then add the second and make that the other half. And now we can go ahead and add image. Go into render sequence, select all your images and add image strip. Now your animation is here. And let's go ahead and turn on the alpha over. See that? That's quite fancy, but this is looking quite horrid. So here the animation starts. So let's give ourselves a fade in to kind of hide the thing, because if we cut it here, you can clearly see when the spline enters the scene. So that we do not want. So probably right before the animation, let's give ourselves a keyframe over the opacity value, and then go down a few frames and just remove it. So now it kind of fades in, and let's do the same for this. So right there, we give ourselves a keyframe, and then a few frames later we remove the opacity. But this is looking very clumsy. So now let's go ahead and let's just see where we put our frame. Let's see. Okay, never mind. But yeah, move this so do you have some free space between the video that's now an image and the output render. And I made a simple mask in. And why is that not showing? Okay, there we go. A very simple mask, just in GIMP. to remove the stuff from the whiteboard. But you see, you will have to spend a lot more time doing this, and when you actually shoot material to use in this kind of fashion, you want stable lights, and you also want the camera on tripod. That would get rid of this mismatch here. So let's just go ahead and animate this too. So just as it's about to move, there, we give ourselves a keyframe in the opacity, and a few frames earlier we remove it. And let's do the same for this. Give ourselves a keyframe, and then a few frames later we remove it. So now we have an animated whiteboard, but like I said, you want to prepare the material beforehand, and you probably want to animate more of these lines to make it more visually appealing. Like maybe these arrows over here could become the arrows over here, and this second penis could be animated from this block here to just give yourself more visible stuff. But cracks such as this, that's completely okay to just fade away, and like these tiny arrows here, you can just fade them with a mask like this. But I would animate more of these features. Like I said, this I would turn into the second block, and these arrows I would turn into this. And maybe these lines here could become or could start out as these lines, and then you animate the color as well, because that's the thing with Blender, everything is animatable. So let's say that our second frame was, you used a red marker, so just go into the material and give yourself a keyframe on the color of the material, and a few frames later you use a different color, a bright red, and then you give yourself a keyframe on that, and now it turns from black to red. So you can do whatever you want. And I think this time we will actually get some shadows. Oh, sorry. Oh, we are still post-processing sequencer. Let's turn on. No, it's fine. Yeah, so that's how you animate splines, and just a basic sort of effects to actually make this appear in the video. But like I said, prepare your material beforehand, and this you could also animate. If it's not 100% spot on, let's try a simple brightness and contrast plugin. So here, let's give ourselves a keyframe, and that looks more like the thing. Yeah, you see, you can just work on it, damn it, just work on it. Just a basic kind of tip. Okay, that's it. Thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something.